Welcome to the Generation Cedar podcast. I'm Kelly Crawford, wife and homeschooling mom to 11. You have come to the right place if you crave to live and parent with purpose and need encouragement and inspiration to do your most important job, raising kids for the kingdom. Join me here every other Monday for your short, powerful shot in the arm. Let's dive into today's episode. If you are a new homeschooling mom, and even if you're not, even if you're a veteran homeschool mom, I am about to give you the number one best piece of advice that is going to just eliminate all of the stress and fear that I know you feel, because we all started homeschooling with this big expectation, not only that we put on ourselves, but that everyone else gives us. We came out of our own experience from probably public school or some form of schooling, 8 to 3 schooling. And we were so excited to be homeschooling. We just thought, hey, we're going to do what school does, but we're going to do it better. And so that is how we started our experience. But if you're like I was, and like most moms that I talk to, you quickly see how that doesn't work very well. Now, before I go into the number one, and I'm going to get to it, the number one best tip, it's going to change your life. Like this, at the end of this video, you're going to be changed in such a good way. But let me give you a little bit about my background. I was a former English teacher, high school teacher, came home to homeschool, and yeah, I just brought the classroom home. I thought this is going to be great. I'm going to do it better. Everybody's going to see how wonderful homeschooling is. And then it wasn't better. It was a disaster. And my kids weren't happy. I wasn't happy. But it took me a while to realize that homeschooling affords this opportunity to basically reevaluate our whole paradigm of what we think about education. And this is what I want to talk to you just briefly before I give you the tip. There are many ways to educate. And I want you to think about all of your preconceived ideas about how a person learns the best. And I want you to really think about that. But before you really get into homeschooling, if you are a new homeschooler or if you've been doing it for a while, maybe it's time you reevaluate. I want us to back up. This is my number one tip. If you do this, it will change your life for the better. My number one tip is you need to deschool your thinking. And what do I mean by that? How do we deschool our thinking? We have to unravel the preconceived ideas, the very ingrained ideas that education can only happen this one way, or that schooling is the best way. Because let me tell you a secret. Schooling, the idea of sitting at a desk and the academics and the 8 to 3, that's not the best way that kids learn. Okay, so how do we deschool? Okay, number one, read and listen. Read and listen to differing opinions. I have lots of stuff at my blog where I have been writing for 17 years. If you want to hop over there at generationscedar, like the tree.com. Also, a lot of what I've written, I've condensed from a guy that really profoundly impacted my thinking on education. He was a former high school teacher named John Taylor Gatto. He's an excellent guy to read. He's got several books. I highly recommend that. Or you can just read the condensed versions that I've written at my blog. But after you start to uncover the idea that there are different and even better ways to educate, I want you to, secondly, in the process of deschooling, take apart your own experience from school. Just think about where you were in the classroom, experts in the front of the room teaching you or giving you information. Did you really learn well that way? Is that really the best way? Did you really retain most of that information? I can speak personally for myself that I didn't. And I actually was a good student. I loved and enjoyed that kind of atmosphere, probably more than most kids do. And I still can tell you that's not the way I learned best. Okay. So after you've started to read and listen to differing opinions, and you've started to kind of reevaluate your own experience, I want you to think about something else. So this is where, if you can get this in your bones, it's going to change your life. Think about how we learn our language. I'm assuming English if you're watching this video, but think about how we learn the English language. Why weren't our parents standing over our crib with flashcards of letters and sounds, because learning the language, your native language, I would say from a practical standpoint, is the biggest, most important thing that a person learns to determine how well he does in life, right? It's very, very important. But I don't think any of us had parents who gave it a second thought. Now, why is that? Ask yourself why. Because we know language is inherently learned. And we know that. And so we don't stress and wring our hands about, oh my goodness, what if my child doesn't learn to speak or write or anything? We just don't worry about it, okay? And it's a big deal. Why then can we not transfer that concept to the rest of our lives, okay? We are magnificent creatures. Our brains are beyond our ability to comprehend. And that amazing ability that we had to learn a language, that doesn't just end at 4 or 5 years old. And that's how we treat homeschooling. We act as if at the age of 5 or 6, all of a sudden their brains are just going to shut down. And if we don't impart all of this knowledge to them, then they're going to be failures in life. And that just simply isn't true. Now, I'm not saying that you don't have to do academics. Some people don't, actually. We still do some academics, but I will say this. I do not let books or the academic side of homeschooling rule over us. They are just tools. They are our servants, not our masters. And that one thing, if you can get that in your bones and understand that picking the wrong curriculum is not going to ruin your kids, or if you don't finish the whole book in a allotted amount of time, it's not going to ruin your kids. Education is way, way, way bigger than the schooling part of it. And like I said, honestly, we learn when we experience. So something sticks with me if it is in the realm of something I'm interested in or something I need to understand for a specific reason. That's where real learning happens. And there's a lot of that. We can just trust our kids, trust their own innate ability to learn what's important to them when the time comes. And if we can get that, then there's so much stress that is relieved, and we can go about our day and not feel like it's all on us, because it's not. Your kids are amazing creatures, and they are going to learn what they need to learn. And the stuff that matters is going to stick when and where it needs to. So if you want this fleshed out a little bit more, what I'm talking about, I have put together a free document. It's the ultimate cheat sheet to stress-free homeschooling. I'm going to drop that link in the description. You click on it, and it's going to be a wealth of information for you to kind of wrap your head around what is a complete education look like? What if I could just narrow it down to a few things and get that right and know that my kids are going to be okay? What are those things? And that's the sheet that I've got below. If you'll just click on that, I think it will help you so much. And then I want to know what your burning questions are. What is your biggest struggle with homeschooling? What are your biggest struggles if you're thinking about homeschooling? Drop me a comment. I read them all. I'll try to answer them too. And we'll chat again. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. I want to invite you to come over to my blog at generationscedar.com. I have been writing there for 17 years, and you'll just find a treasure trove of encouragement, inspiration. I talk about all things Christian motherhood, parenting in general, and homeschooling, and so much more. I know you will be inspired and encouraged. And I would just love to connect with you too. If you subscribe, we start a conversation, and you'll receive a weekly question and answer, and also a link to every other week's podcast. So hop over there, subscribe, and let's chat. Hope to hear from you soon.